Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. There you go. Hi, it's everything. I needed that. Let me get that going. All right, so let's see what's going on here. Again, my name is Louis Tornes. I'm the agency owner of LTDT Insurance. We welcome you, welcome agents of Owen Insurance Group. We welcome every agent here to join with us and love to see these new faces on here. Priscilla, let's see. Dan, Jeanette, Judith. You're not all new, but you know what I mean. So let's get into what's going on today. Today's topic, we're going to get into it shortly. We're going to do something a little different today. Um, Let me put this thing because we don't need that there. Um, we're going to be talking about building resilience through rejections. Okay, so hopefully these are lessons that you're learning that are really very how-to type things, how to deal with clients and things like that. And that's what our topics are mostly about on this class. So even whatever you're doing doesn't make a difference. It's here to help you. Um, Before we get into that, let me get some announcements out of the way. Um, Let me put this one up here. This is a little sad note. Nothing wrong with Rachel, but she did lose her mother-in-law, so she's not here with us this week. Anyway, she's was originally scheduled to be on vacation, but now she's going through a couple little heart situation. But keep her in your prayers. That would be very helpful. I didn't get to update this. Next slide. Again, you can check your carriers. Most of the carriers now, you can do your uh, Florida Medicare certification, assuming that you've done your AHIP. If you need help with any of this, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm here to help out. We're going to do something a little different here before I get into the main topic. We're going to do what's called a case study. And we came up with a situation. Well, let me just run through it so you can understand. Maybe it's a good learning experience for everyone. So, and why we need to take care of people. You know, the big saying, take care of the people and people take care of you. That's the theme that I've always used. Um, so let me just get into this. Who put me on mute? Let me get the sounds. Let's get everything unmuted. All right. Good. All right. So let me give you a case study of what's going on with a client. I actually helped Chaz. I don't know if she's on here. No, she's not. But Chaz is one of the agents that I work with. And she came up with a great case here. And I just wanted to run this by because it's a good learning experience. So here's the situation. Okay. We have a client who's 17 years old out of Sarasota, Florida, turns 18 in April, and currently uninsured. Okay. Um, Come on. There you go. So, just to give you a little family background, unfortunately, she lost her mom 4 years ago and then lost her dad a year ago in a car accident. Okay. Um, the client or the 17-year-old has a court appointed professional guardian. Okay, so these are people that are basically getting paid to be guardians, and she reached out to Chaz on this case. The guardian was established through probate court, and obviously the guardian doesn't claim isn't claimed as a tax dependent of the of the case. So that with that, no, guardian can't be added to their employee spouse because the employee spouse will not cover health insurance for the 17-year-old since she's not really a legal. Uh, all right, so here comes where the income comes in. Now she does receive $2,000 a month in Social Security survivor benefits. So you're talking about $24,000 a year, and Also, future assets have to be put into place. Now, keep in mind, everybody said, well, that's fine because, am I sure? Yes, I am. Future assets really don't come into effect until she turns to 18, which is in April. But she's going to be receiving $150,000 from the parents' estate, which basically is money, probably the house or something like that. Uh, Also, there is a settlement, a wrongful death settlement related to the accident that she's going to receive $1.5 million. So, I mean, she's not in bad shape, but she's in bad shape right now. I mean, it's a sad story. So the initial little says, okay, the guardianship alone doesn't appear to establish Medicaid. Obviously, she makes too much to be on Medicaid program, and because the client did not lose existing health care coverage when her father passed away, a special enrollment, and of course, this was over a year ago, so it's over the 60 days. So what's happened is ACA is unlikely. On top of that, she's 17. Okay, so the only thing we can really look at is a thing like Florida Kid Care, and in the ACA marketplaces should be explored. But with the guardian and as the authorized representative, it would not be beneficial. Basically, there is no qualifying event, so she can't enroll in that, and would have to wait till open enrollment. Okay. Keep in mind that open enrollment starts in January, so keeping the fact that she's going to be getting that kind of money, ACA seems to be out of the picture. So, some of the questions that we have to think: is the client eligible for kid cares? That $24,000 for 2025 does keep her under the amount which you can receive kid care. So the answer is yes. How should the survivor benefits be treated for the ACA market? Well, that's not going to happen. There's no tax filing. She's not filing taxes on her own, so she's not a dependent of the guardian. But so that's definitely not going to work. And marketplace strategy for a 17-year-old, obviously there really is no option for her. So obviously, is there any specific program eligible but for this pathway? And yes, we came up with the answer, which was the Florida Kid Care. All right. Now, we looked at this and I looked at it going over because it's a very tough situation. If you ever come up with something like this, obviously give me a call, give someone a call that'll help you out with these situations. These are actually best ways to help them. So kid care was the way to go. We went through all this thing. Now you're saying, okay, but how am I going to win as an agent? Okay, well, sometimes remember what I said. You had to do things a little different to show out a little different. There is a potential in this thing that you got to keep in mind also. And again, it's not. I'm not one to say, hey, think of money all the time, but think of money this time. All right, she's got a good relationship with the guardian, at least Chaz does. And I said, Chaz, keep in mind that right now we're going to go into this situation. You're going to help her develop a relationship with this girl because the bottom line is when it comes to this, let's go back to this income thing. She's receiving $2,000 a month in Social Security benefits, survivor benefits, and she's going to lose that as she turns 18. But at 18, she has $150,000 from the state and $1.5 million for settlement for wrongful death. Now, keep in mind, this is a golden opportunity that what are you going to do with this money? This is where you can put them on a life insurance policy, a IUL type life insurance. This is money that you can help with the people. Again, it's all relationship building. It's all has to do with what's best for the client. In this case, you're helping this 17-year-old who's going to have issues down the road. Let me go back over here. All right. So, I wanted to bring this case to you. Anybody have any questions before I go any further? kill this. Let me kill this. And let me bring up my other presentation. I just thought it was a very interesting case, and that's why I brought it over. I decided, yes, I'm going to bring it here. Oops, sorry about that. Let's get this going up here. All right, now I'm back here. So let me go back to screen sharing. All right, so since you have no questions, no comments, you all do good with this. Let's see. We got difficult conversations. Today's topic is one that every successful professional must master: the difficult conversations. In this business, difficult conversations are not a matter of if they happen, it's when they will. Things like, I don't trust insurance companies. Your competitor quoted me less. I need to think about it. I've had a bad experience before. When these moments happen, agents become defensive, frustrated, and start talking too much. But the best agent understands something important. Objections are not rejections. Objections are a request for more information. Our job is not to pressure people. Our job is to educate. And that's basically what this meeting today is about. Let me get here. Before we start, let's go with the quote of the day. Pressure is a privilege. It means people trust you enough to ask you the hard questions. I want everybody to think about that for a moment. In our business, pressure often shows up when the client asks difficult questions, or challenge our recommendations, or express doubt and concerns. Now, many agents see this as a stressful or uncomfortable, but I want you to look at them a little differently. When a client asks a hard question, it means they are considering trusting you with something extremely important, whether it's their health, their finances, their future family situation. It's the family's future. That's a privilege. You as an agent are being given a privilege. Think about it. Clients don't ask difficult questions to people they don't trust. They ask because they want reassurance. They want clarity. They want to know that the person they're sitting across from, or the person on the other end of the phone, that person really understands the needs and what's in their best interest. Now, the best agents don't avoid the tough questions. They lean into them, they stay calm, they listen, they educate, and they serve. Lead with trust. This is the key thing, and serve with confidence. As we go through the training today, I want everyone to keep this quote in mind. Pressure is not the enemy. Pressure is the proof that people trust you enough to seek your guidance. And when clients trust us, that gives us an opportunity to make the greatest impact in their lives. So before we dive into today's contents, I want everyone to understand exactly what success looks like for this training. By the end of today's session, my goal is that everyone walks away with 5 key outcomes. First, handling objections with confidence. Many agents become nervous when clients push back or raise concerns. But confidence doesn't come from having a perfect script. Confidence comes from preparation, experience, and understanding objections, that they're just part of the decision-making process. I want you to feel more comfortable responding to objections without feeling pressured or defensive or uncertain. Second, stay calm under pressure. Difficult conversations can trigger emotions. Maybe a client becomes upset. Okay? Maybe they challenge your recommendations. Maybe they question your integrity or compare you to another agent. Professional agents remain calm. When we stay calm, we think clearly, communicate better, and maintain control of the conversation. If we lose composure, we lose our effectiveness. Third, reduce emotional reactions. It's easy to take objections personally, but clients are usually not rejecting you. They're expressing uncertainty, fear, confusion, or simply asking for more information. Our job is to respond professionally instead of reacting emotionally. We want to replace frustration with curiosity. Instead of thinking, why, why are we arguing with me? Ask, what concerns are they really trying to solve? Fourth, turning objections into opportunities. Some of the strongest client relationships begin with a difficult conversation. Objections give us an opportunity to educate, clarify misunderstandings, build trust, and demonstrate our expertise. Every objection is actually an opportunity to serve. When handled correctly, objections become buying signals. And finally, strength, trust during difficult conversations. Strength, trust during difficult conversations. Trust is the foundation of everything we do. If we don't buy because we talk the most, clients won't buy. They buy because they trust us. When a client feels heard, understood, and respected, even during the challenging conversations, trust grows. And trust leads to a long-term client relationship. It leads to referrals and a strong business. I want each of you to leave with a practical tool that you can begin using immediately on your next conversation with your client. Because the difficult conversations don't have to be feared. They can become your greatest strength as a professional agent. One of the biggest mistakes agents make is assuming that objection means the client is not interested. In reality, most objections have very little to do with us personally. Clients push back for reasons that are completely normal and very human. Fear of making a mistake. Insurance decisions can have long-term consequences. Clients are often worried about choosing the wrong plan, paying too much, losing benefits, or making decisions they may regret later. Remember, fear is often disguised as an objection. Lack of understanding. Insurance can be confusing. Whether it's Medicare, Marketplace, life insurance, annuities, they all have their terminologies, rules, and options. Sometimes when a client says, I need to think about it, what they really mean is, I don't fully understand it yet. Our role is simple, our role is to simplify, not complicate. Bad experiences in the past. Many clients have had a negative experience. Maybe they worked with an agent who disappeared after the sale. Maybe they were enrolled in the wrong plan. Maybe they experienced claim issues or unexpected costs. As a professional, we must understand that we may be overcoming someone else's mistake. Great important thing to understand. Financial concerns. Money is emotional. The client may generally be concerned about affordability or fitting another expense into their budget. Rather than becoming defensive, we should explore questions like this. Help me understand what your concern is regarding the cost. This allows us to have a conversation instead of an argument. Misinformation from friends or the media. Boy, do I hate this one. But it happens. We hear this every day. Clients may tell us, Oh, my neighbor says Medicare doesn't cover that. Or I saw something on Facebook. These plans are a scam. Or someone told me I should never buy life insurance. Misinformation is everywhere. Our responsibility is to educate with facts while remaining respectful. Feeling pressured. Clients can immediately sense when an agent is trying to force a decision. The moment the client feels pressure, trust begins to disappear. Remember, people don't like to be sold, but they do like to buy when they feel informed and respected. The good old need more some time. Sometimes the objection is exactly what it says. And they truly need time. Maybe they need to speak with a spouse, review finances, simply process the information. Giving a client space often strengthens trust. The key the key takeaway from this slide is simple. Objection usually means the client needs more clarity, not more pressure. When we stop seeing objections as resistance and start seeing them as opportunities to educate, everything changes. The best agents don't push harder, they serve better. I want to introduce you to the single biggest mindset shift that you can improve in your sales conversation immediately. Many agents hear an objection and instantly think the client doesn't want it. And because they believe that, they begin to shut down. Their energy changes, their confidence drops, they stop asking questions. Some agents even give up the conversation completely. But I want you to replace that thought with a new one. The client simply needs more information. Think about it. People who truly are not interested usually do one of two things. They don't answer the phone or they end the conversation very quickly. But when a client asks questions, expresses concern, compares options, challenges what we're saying, they're actually engaged. They're processing, they're thinking, they're trying to make the best decision possible. In other words, questions are often buying signals. Questions tell us whether the client is still in the game. Let's look at a few examples. When a client says, "Why is this plan better? Can I keep my doctors? Why does it cost so much? What happens if I get sick?" Those aren't rejections. Those are invitations for us to keep educating and building trust. Remember, no questions usually means no engagement. And questions create opportunity. So instead of thinking, how do I overcome this objection? Ask yourself, what information or reassurance does a client need right now? That simple mindset shift changes the entire conversation. When we stop viewing objections as barriers and start seeing them as opportunities to serve, our confidence grows, trust increases, and our close rate improves. The goal is not to win an argument. The goal is to help the client make an informed decision. One of the biggest challenges faced in a difficult conversation is not knowing what to say next. Well, when an objection comes up, many agents either talk too much, become defensive, or immediately overcome the objection. They try to do that. Today, I want to give you a simple framework that will work in any case, especially when it comes to difficult client conversation. It's called lead. First one, L, for listen. The first step is simple, but often the hardest. We hate to use those two things that are at the end of your face there, on your head. God gave you two of these for a reason. Don't interrupt. Don't assume you already know what the customer is going to say and throw it out there. And don't start preparing your response while they're still talking. Give the client the opportunity to fully explain their concern. Remember, people want to feel heard before they are willing to hear you. Sometimes clients solve half of their own objections simply because someone finally listened. A good rule is listen twice as much as you speak. E. Empathize. After listening, acknowledge the client. You don't have to agree with them, but you should validate how they feel. Examples of going through that is, hey, I understand why you feel that way. Or that's a very common concern. Or how about, I can see why you would why that would be important to you. Empathy lowers resistance. When the client feels understood, their defense begins to come down. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. A. Ask questions. Ask questions to uncover the real issues. Many objections are surface objections. For example, when a client says, it's too expensive, the real issue might actually be their fear of making a mistake, lack of understanding, budget concerns, need for spousal approval, lack of perceived value. Questions help us diagnose before we prescribe. Tell me more about that concern, or help me understand what worries you the most. And when you say expensive, compared to what? Curiosity is one of the most powerful tools an agent has. Use it. Direct for D. After you listen, empathize, and question, you should go direct to the conversation. This is where you educate, clarify, and make recommendations. Because now you know what the real issue is. Examples: provide facts, correct misinformation, explain plans benefits. Reconnect the recommendations back to the client's needs. Always direct with confidence, but never with pressure. Our goal is to guide, not push. Remember, educate first, recommend second, and when you follow the lead, LEAD, framework, objections become easier conversations, become calmer, and the client becomes more confident in their decision. If you forget nothing else, or if you forget everything else from today's training, remember lead. It will help you navigate almost every difficult conversation you will have in this business. Listen, empathize, ask and questions, and direct. All right. Hey, look who's that. That guy is there's upset. One of our greatest skills in insurance professional can develop the ability to stay calm when emotions rise. Hey, you have clients that will get a little frustrated, and it's a very hard thing sometimes when they're screaming at you and doing all kinds of things. Conversations like this happen. Clients may become very frustrated, upset, confused, and even angry. They may raise their voice, challenge your recommendations, or disagree with you. In those moments, the client is watching more than what you say. They're actually watching how you respond. When emotions rise, avoid these common mistakes. Avoid arguing. Nobody wins an argument with a client. Even when you're technically right, arguing damages trust. Our goal is not to win debates. Our goal is to educate and guide. Avoid talking fast. When people become nervous or defensive, they often begin to speak faster. Unfortunately, the faster we talk, the less clients hear. Slow, calm communications protects confidence. Fast communications often project stress. Avoid defending yourself. When clients criticize insurance companies, other agents, or even your recommendations, don't take it personal. Many times, clients are expressing frustrations. They're not really attacking you. Defensiveness creates conflict. Curiosity creates understanding. Avoid interrupting. Even when the emotions are high, clients need to feel heard. Interrupting sends the message, what you have to say is not important. You don't want to do that to a client. Allow the client to finish. Many times, simply listening lowers the emotion intensely. Avoid talking. Uh, avoid talking comments personally or taking comments personally. In other words, clients usually react to fear, confusion, misinformation, or past experiences. Most objections are not really about you, they're about clients' concerns. Separate yourself from the emotions. Instead of doing these 5 things, what do we need to do? Slow down. When the emotions rise, intentionally slow your pace. A slower pace communicates confidence, control, and professionalism. Lower your voice. One of the most important tools you have is your tone. When a client raises their voices, don't match their energy. Lower yours. People often mirror the emotional stakes at a person they're speaking with. Pause before responding. Great tool. You don't have to answer immediately. Take a breath. A 2-second pause allows you to think, remain calm, and respond professionally rather than emotionally. Ask questions. Questions redirect the emotions into conversations. For example, help me understand what concerns you the most. Or can you tell me be more specific about that? What specifically worries you about this? Question helps uncover the real issues. And finally, focus when emotions rise. Stop thinking about the sale. Focus entirely on helping the client. Ask yourself, what does this person really need from me right now? When we focus on serving instead of selling, will become much easier. Key takeaway: calm is contagious. As a professional, we don't control clients' emotions, but we do control our own. And often, if we stay calm, clients will eventually follow our leads. Before we can stay calm, though, we first have to understand what causes us to lose our composure in the first place. Every agent has had emotional triggers. The key is not to presenting. The key is not pretending that they don't exist. The key is to recognize them before you lose control of the conversation. One of the biggest triggers for an agent is an angry or frustrated client. When the client raises their voice or becomes upset, many agents become defensive. Remember, anger is often a sign of fear, confusion, frustration, or a bad past experience. Most of the times, the client is upset about the situation, not about you personally. And as a professional, we must remain calm and focus on understanding what the real issue is. It might be a price objection. Many agents become uncomfortable when a client says, "That's too expensive." They immediately react, often in defending the price or beginning discounting the value. Instead, pause. Price the objection. Price objections usually mean one of the three things: the client doesn't see the value, the client has budget concerns, or the client needs more information. People rarely buy based on price alone. They buy based on perceived value. I need to think about it. This phrase frustrates many agents. Some agents immediately assume their client is rejecting them. But in many cases, the client truly needs time. Other times, they're just confused. They need spousal approval. They may have questions that are not answered. They're afraid of making a mistake. Our job is not to push. Our job is to discover what they need. Family interference. Do I get a lot of these? Many of us have experienced situations where a spouse, a child, a friend, or a neighbor influences client's decision. This can be frustrating. However, family members often play an important role in a client's life. That Medicare client with their daughter, it's important that she's there. Okay? Instead of viewing them as obstacles, invite them into the conversation when appropriate. An informed family member often becomes an advocate instead of a barrier. Being challenged. Sometimes clients challenge our recommendations or question our expertise. That can feel uncomfortable. But remember, questions are not attacks. Questions are the opportunities to educate and build credibility. Professional agents welcome questions. Rejections. Nobody likes to hear no. Okay? But rejection is part of the business. Even the most successful agents hear no regularly. A client declining coverage does not define your value as an agent or as a person. Learn from the experience, improve, and move on. Ask yourself, when emotionals begin to rise, ask this: am I reacting to emotionally, or am I responding professionally? That simple question can completely change the directions of the conversation. Professional agents do not eliminate emotions. They learn how to manage them. And when we manage our emotions, we create better client experience, stronger relationships, and a better business result. The better you understand your own triggers, the better you will serve your clients. All right. I'm going to fly through these real quick. Some of the top objections that we hear is, "Hey, it's too expensive." What does that really mean? What he's really think is, "I don't see the value." Your response? I understand many people feel that way initially. Let me ask, compared to what? Is it the monthly premium or overall budget that concerns you? Never defend the price. Discover the concern. All right, another one here. I need to think about it. What is you really saying? I still have unanswered questions, really. If you got to think about it, well, let's find out. One of the worst things you can say is, what's there to think about? Don't ever do that. Instead, absolutely. Most important decisions deserve careful thoughts. To make sure I have explained everything clearly, what specifically would you like to think over? Now that opens up the conversation. Sooner or later, everyone will face an angry, frustrated, or upset client. Maybe it's the doctor's not in network. Maybe they received an unexpected bill. Maybe a claim was denied. Maybe they had a bad experience with another agent or carrier. Whatever the reason is, how we respond during these moments can either strengthen us or destroy it. I want to give you the calm framework that you can use anytime when emotions are going high. Number one, control your emotions. The first person we must manage is ourselves. When a client becomes upset, our tendency is to become defensive, argue, or try to fix the problem right away. Don't. Take a breath, slow down, lower your voice. If you cannot calm an emotional client, you're emotional yourself. Professional agents stay composed even when clients do not. Acknowledge feelings. People want to be heard. They say statements like I can understand why that would be frustrating, or I can see why you're concerned, or I understand why you feel that way. These statements will lower the tension. Never say, calm down. That's not my fault. Or, oof, you're wrong. Now, you're just going to escalate the emotions if you use those lines. Listen completely. When a client's upset, resist the urge to interrupt. Oops. Sorry about that. Allow them to explain the situation fully. Many clients calm down simply because someone finally listened. Focus on what happened, what's the real concern, what outcome are they hoping for. Listen to understand, not to respond. Move towards a solution. Once the client feels heard, understood, shift the conversation to a solution. Let's see what options we have. Here's what we can do next. Let's work together to resolve this. Clients do not expect perfection. They expect effort, communication, and advocacy. Even if you can't solve the problem immediately, clients will appreciate knowing that you're working on their behalf. Great response. I can hear that this situation has been frustrating. Let's work together through this and see what options we have. This statement will acknowledge the emotion. It reassures the client that they are not alone, and it moves the conversation forward. Now, let's go through the things we don't want to say, okay? And I'm going to fly by these here. You definitely don't want to say you're wrong. When a client believes you're incorrect, our first instinct is to correct them. but telling client that you're wrong, that will generate lots of things, and client will stop listening. Instead, say, help me understand. This keeps the conversation open and encouraging. Another line, that's not true. Even when there's a mistake. This can be an embarrassing or attacked. Instead, say, tell me more about that. This gives an opportunity for you to understand where the information came from, and then respectfully educate. Oh, you don't understand. No one likes to be told they don't understand something. Clients may not understand the details, but saying that can come across disrespectful or disconsenting. Instead, say, I understand why you might feel like that. Empathy lowers defensive and creates trust. Calm down. Anyone ever tell you to calm down? How did that work? Almost never. Telling someone to calm down has the exact opposite effect. Instead of lowering your voice, remain calm and say something like this. I can see why this situation is frustrating. People tend to that. Oh, one of my favorites. That's company policy. Clients give, let me say decently, clients don't care about company policies. They care about their problems. While policies may be important, mostly to us, leading with policy can sound cold and uncaring. Instead, let's look at your options together. This shifts the focus from limitations to solutions. Everyone else does this. This phrase minimizes the client's concern and makes them feel like another number. Every client wants to feel unique and understood. Instead, said, here's what I've seen. Helps other clients in a similar situation. The words we choose can either build walls, or build bridges. Our goal is never to win an argument. Our goal is to build trust, educate, and help clients make informed decisions. I was going to do role playing, but I know we're going real long here. But let's go through this real quick, okay? So, client says, I don't trust insurance companies, okay? Well, what's the real concern? Let me get there. The real concern could be a bunch of things, but the bottom line is we go back to the lead. Lead meaning, of course, listen, empathize, ask, and direct. Another one we had here. Your competitor quoted me less. Here, you don't want to be defensive and do not immediately lower your price. Price is rarely the issue. Value usually is the issue. You listen, ask the client to explain. Tell me a little more about the other quote. Find out more about it. Empathize. Say something like, I understand price is important, and I appreciate you sharing that with me. 3, ask the discovery question. Was it the same coverage? Was it the same deductible? Were all the benefits included? Was it the same carrier? Are the doctors and medications the same? Good way to say this. Help me understand what was included in that quote. Educate. Sometimes the two plans may have different premiums because of benefits, networks, deductibles, or out-of-pocket costs. They may be different. Cheaper does not always mean better. And then recommend. Bring the conversation back to the client's needs. Based on what you told me, your doctor's medications and budget, here's why I recommended this option. The key takeaway: never compete on price alone. Compete on the value, education, and service. Now we're gonna skip this part here because this would be a real role playing. But let's get into the key takeaways. Um, Remember, stay calm. That's the key thing. Always listen first. Never argue. Ask questions. That's how you're gonna find out things. Objections are opportunities, and education builds trust. Keep this in mind whenever you're talking to that difficult client or any client. Really, you got to really do this just about with everyone. They're gonna have objections. Objections are positive. I got a weekly challenge for you also. This week, track your top 5 objections. Oops. For each objection, write down, what did the customer say? What was their real concern? How did you respond? And what could be improved? And with that, my friends, we're coming up to the top of the hour. Now I'm gonna leave some time for questions and answers for everybody. Let me see who's on here. Oops, get over there. Stay there. Anybody got any questions? Where'd everybody go? Here we go. And then you can unmute yourselves, by the way, if you got a question, comments, concerns.
Louis, can you hear me?
There you go, Judith. How you doing?
I'm doing as usual. You know, I've been in this business for a lot of years, and boy, do I know how to overcome these objections. And we're not going to do it right now, but I'm going to call you later, and you and I are going to have a long discussion so I may help you present the ways to everybody who's listening. And they are sure of fired ways to overcome objections. Trust me on that.
I mean, we all go through this on a daily basis. Trust me, every one of these objections I've come across, and that come on a daily basis. You know what? I would say, and objections don't necessarily mean they're nasty, but which conversation have you had that didn't have some kind of objection? It's a rare thing. We deal with clients, we deal with people.
You overcome the objections up front. That's why I said
Exactly.
you and I are going to talk about it
Yeah.
later. All right.
No
Talk to you
problem.
later.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? Comments, concerns? All right, let me get back in here then. So let's talk about next week. I like this one coming up next week. It's called Your Elevator Pitch. What you say in the first 60 seconds matters. Um, that's going to come up next week, and I think it's a heck of a program. All right, guys, if you have nothing else, then I think we're done for this one. I want to thank each and every one of you have joined, and let me know what you think, and give me ideas for other topics that you might have in there. I'm going to be going through this through the end of August, and then we're going to take a break for AP because September is going to be a month that we have to be doing a lot of final preparations. So we're going to take a break for September, October, November, December, and then bring this back up in January again, unless there's something specific. I will be putting up a couple of meetings I'll be sending out to you all for special coverage. Those will not be Mondays. It'll probably be on a Tuesday or Wednesday or maybe even a Thursday. So I'll keep you guys informed on that. I know one that's coming up is ADS, which normally would be covered on Owen Insurance Group, but we're going to do our own. All right, guys. With that said, if there's nothing else, we love you all. Take care. Have a blessed day.